There's a moment in every caterpillar's life when the world goes black inside its cocoon. This creature literally dissolves. Its body breaks down into an unrecognizable soup of cells, a complete destruction of everything it once was. Scientists call this process histolysis. I call it the ultimate act of courage. You're sitting here today, breathing, existing, perhaps feeling solid in who you are. But what if I told you that your greatest transformation requires the same process, a complete dissolution of everything you believe defines you? 3 years ago in a remote cabin in Montana, I witnessed a man deliberately erase himself, not through any dramatic gesture, but through the quiet act of walking away from a 7-figure corporate position, his penthouse apartment, and even his own name. The world called him insane. Today, he runs a sustainable energy company that's revolutionizing power access in developing nations. The key? He had to become unrecognizable to himself first. This isn't about changing your hair color or moving to a new city. This is about the courage to dissolve your current identity, your limitations, your fears, your comfortable patterns, until nothing remains except pure potential. It's about understanding that your greatest obstacle isn't failure. It's the identity you've built around your past successes. Think about water for a moment. In its liquid form, it's confined by its container. But when it transforms into vapor, it becomes boundless, uncontainable, free to rise and travel across continents. Your current identity is that container. Your habits, your reputation, your carefully crafted personal brand, they're all walls containing your true potential. The market leaders of tomorrow won't be the ones who simply improved. They'll be the ones who dared to become unrecognizable. In an age where artificial intelligence can replicate any pattern, your only competitive advantage is your capacity for radical reinvention. What they don't tell you about transformation, it's not about adding more to who you are. It's about systematic subtraction. It's about having the courage to strip away everything that isn't essentially you until you become an enigma, even to yourself. The path we're about to explore isn't for everyone. Some will call it extreme. Others will label it unnecessary. But for those who feel that quietly persistent calling, that whisper telling them they're capable of something far beyond their current existence, this message is your wake-up call. In the next few moments, we'll delve into the art of strategic disappearance, the science of identity reconstruction, and the powerful principles that govern total transformation. You'll learn why becoming unrecognizable isn't just an option in today's rapidly evolving world. It's a necessity for survival and extraordinary success. The question isn't whether you're capable of such transformation. The question is, are you willing to dissolve everything you think you are to become everything you're meant to be? In the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert, where the horizon melts into an endless sea of sand, I met a woman who had mastered the art of invisibility, not the kind found in fantasy novels, but something far more powerful, the ability to disappear from her own limiting beliefs. Ava Henderson wasn't always a desert ultramarathon champion. 10 years ago, she was trapped in a cycle of mediocrity, surrounded by voices telling her what she could and couldn't achieve. She was visible then, visible as the accountant who played it safe, visible as the person everyone had figured out, labeled, and filed away in their minds. Her capabilities were neatly boxed and categorized by others' expectations. What fascination happened? She discovered that true power lies in becoming visible to those expectations. One morning, without announcement or fanfare, she stopped being available to every mundane request. She became selectively invisible to the constant demands that drained her energy. Her phone went silent. Her social media went dark. To the outside world, she seemed to fade away, like a mirage in the desert heat. This isn't about hiding. This is about the profound power of strategic invisibility. When you remove yourself from the constant radar of others' expectations, something remarkable happens. You gain the freedom to reconstruct yourself without the weight of public opinion. Every great invention, every revolutionary idea, every world-changing innovation was first conceived in invisibility. The Wright brothers didn't develop flight in the town square. They chose the isolation of Kitty Hawk. Einstein didn't formulate relativity in a crowded cafe. He found clarity in the solitude of a patent office. Ava's transformation began with small acts of disappearance. She carved out 2 hours before dawn, hours invisible to the world, where she trained in complete solitude. No social media updates, no sharing of progress, no seeking validation. In this invisibility, she found her truth. The desert taught her its secrets. In the emptiness, where nothing exists to distract or define you, you're forced to confront your essence. The dunes don't care about your past achievements or failures. They demand only one thing: your true capacity. After 18 months of invisible training, Ava emerged to compete in the Marathon des Sables, the toughest fortress on Earth. 6 marathons in 6 days across the Sahara. But here's the crucial point: she didn't emerge as an improved version of her old self. She was unrecognizable. The power of her transformation lay not in what she added, but in what she removed. She stripped away the layers of identity that society had painted on her. The careful accountant, the reliable friend who never took risks, the person everyone thought they knew, all dissolved in the desert heat. This is the hidden power of invisibility. When you become invisible to the world's constant judgments and expectations, you gain the freedom to rewrite your own story. You're no longer performing for an audience. You're no longer seeking approval or validation. You're operating in a space of pure potential. A caterpillar doesn't transform into a butterfly in the open. It does so within the privacy of its cocoon. Your cocoon is your period of strategic invisibility. It's the space where you shed the skin of your former self without explanation or apology. Ava's story isn't about running. It's about the courage to disappear from everything and everyone that holds you in a fixed identity. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to become temporarily invisible to the world's expectations. In your own life, where are you too visible? Where are you performing instead of transforming? What parts of your identity have become a prison rather than a platform for growth? The world will always try to make you visible in ways that serve its needs rather than your growth. It will try to define you, to categorize you, to keep you predictable and manageable. Your power lies in your ability to slip through these definitions, to become invisible to these expectations. The most profound transformations happen in darkness. The seed transforms beneath the soil. The galaxy forms in the depths of space. Your greatest evolution will happen when you have the courage to disappear from the identity that no longer serves your highest potential. This is the first step in becoming unrecognizable, embracing the power of strategic invisibility, not as an escape, but as a cocoon where your true self can emerge, unfettered by the world's limited vision of who you are and what you can become. The desert runner understood this truth. Sometimes you must disappear completely to find who you truly are. Close your eyes for a moment and recognize that familiar weight, the weight of others' understanding of who you are, their compliments, their expectations, their well-meaning advice, all based on a version of you that no longer fits. Like golden handcuffs, recognition can become the most beautiful prison ever built. You've heard the whispers, haven't you? Stay in your lane. Don't rock the boat. You're good at what you do. These aren't just comments, they're chains. Every compliment based on who you've been becomes a subtle command to remain unchanged. Every award for past performance becomes a contract to maintain the status quo. Your current identity, the one everyone recognizes and applauds, might be your greatest liability. It's not your failures that hold you back. It's your successes. The very achievements that brought you recognition have become the anchors preventing your next evolution. Think about the master artists who deliberately switched styles at the peak of their success. Think about the entrepreneurs who walked away from profitable businesses to start again from scratch. They understood a crucial secret: comfort is the enemy of greatness. But let's be brutally honest. This isn't about moderate change. This is about systematic destruction of your comfort zone. It's about deliberately making yourself uncomfortable in ways that make others uncomfortable just watching you. I recently witnessed a top surgeon walk away from a prestigious position to study quantum computing. His colleagues called it a midlife crisis. His family staged an intervention, but he understood something they didn't. That true growth requires you to break not just out of your comfort zone, but out of your expertise zone. The most dangerous comfort zone isn't failure. It's competence. When you're good at something, really good, the world conspires to keep you there. It offers you better pay, higher status, more recognition. The golden handcuffs get tighter, more comfortable, more difficult to notice. The more recognition you receive for who you are, the harder it becomes to transform into who you could be. Every person who knows you, who respects you, who counts on you becomes an unconscious anchor holding you to your past self. Breaking these chains requires more than courage. It requires the willingness to disappoint people who believe in you. It requires the strength to step away from applause. It means choosing temporary incompetence over permanent competence. Your comfort zone isn't just about what you do. It's about who you believe you are. It's your self-image, your habits, your patterns of thinking. Breaking free requires systematic destruction of these patterns. Start with your daily routine. If you're a morning person, force yourself to work late. If you're organized, experiment with controlled chaos. If you're known for your reliability, become selectively unreliable to obligations that no longer serve your growth. This isn't reckless abandonment. It's strategic destruction. Like a demolition expert, you must know exactly which supports to remove and in what order. Your goal isn't to create chaos. It's to create space. Space for new possibilities. Space for reinvention. The world will resist. It will try to push you back into your familiar shape. Remember? This resistance is a sign you're on the right path. If everyone understands what you're doing, you're not pushing hard enough. Transform your relationship with recognition. Let go of the need to be understood. Embrace the power of being misunderstood. When people say, "I don't recognize you anymore," take it as the highest compliment. Your greatest breakthroughs will come not from building upon who you are, but from having the courage to break free from who you've been. Every chain of recognition you break creates space for a new capability to emerge. The time has come to break these beautiful chains, to step away from the warmth of recognition into the cold uncertainty of reinvention, to become not just different but unrecognizable. Remember, the caterpillar doesn't transform by adding wings to its existing structure. It breaks down completely to rebuild itself anew. Your transformation demands nothing less. High in the mist-shrouded peaks of Mount Kailash, where the air is thin and wisdom runs deep, I encountered a story that changed my understanding of transformation forever. This isn't a tale from ancient scrolls. It happened just 4 years ago, though few know of it. James Chen was a Silicon Valley prodigy, the architect behind some of the world's most used social media algorithms. His code shaped how billions of people connected, shared, and thought. He had everything society deemed valuable: influence, wealth, recognition. Yet he felt hollow, trapped in a prison of his own success. Then one day, he vanished. Not in a dramatic way that makes headlines. No, his disappearance was calculated, precise, what I now call strategic disappearance. He didn't delete his accounts or make bold announcements. Instead, he became digitally invisible through a series of subtle, deliberate actions that made him increasingly irrelevant to the algorithms he once created. For 3 years, he lived in a remote monastery, not as a monk seeking enlightenment, but as a student of disappearance. What he learned there forms the foundation of strategic transformation. Principles so powerful, they can completely reshape your reality. The first principle he discovered was what the monks called the shadow effect. In the monastery's ancient courtyard, he noticed how shadows didn't fight for existence. They simply emerged in the absence of light. True transformation, he learned, doesn't come from forcing change, but from creating spaces where change becomes inevitable. When you announce your intentions to transform, you create resistance. The world rushes to remind you of who you've been. But when you strategically disappear from certain aspects of your life, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. In that space, new possibilities naturally emerge. The second principle was selective silence. The monks taught him that transformation isn't about changing everything at once. It's about identifying the core patterns that define your current identity and systematically silencing them one by one. James began with his digital presence. He didn't post about his journey or share his insights. Instead, he learned to find power in being unknown. He discovered that when you stop explaining yourself to others, you create space to reinvent yourself for yourself. But here's where it gets interesting. The monastery had a unique practice. Every 3 months, they would rearrange every object in their living spaces. This led James to understand the third principle, pattern disruption. Change wasn't just about big decisions. It was about systematically disrupting every pattern that anchored you to your old identity. Your current identity is maintained by thousands of tiny habits and patterns. The route you take to work, the time you wake up, the words you use, the way you respond to challenges. True transformation requires disrupting these patterns so completely that your old self becomes impossible to maintain. The fourth principle emerged from an unexpected source, the monastery's ancient stone walls. James noticed how these walls didn't fight the mountain's elements. Instead, they incorporated them using the very forces that could destroy them to make them stronger. This became adaptive resistance, the understanding that opposition to your transformation can become fuel for it. When his former colleagues found him and tried to pull him back to his old life, he didn't resist. Instead, he used their pressure as motivation to dive deeper into his transformation. Every attempt to remind him of who he was became a catalyst for becoming someone new. The monks had a saying, "The eagle that soars highest builds its nest in emptiness." This became the fifth principle, strategic emptiness. James learned that true transformation requires creating empty spaces in your life, periods of time and areas of existence where you deliberately maintain nothingness. These empty spaces serve as incubators for your new identity. Like a painter needs a blank canvas, you need blank spaces in your life where new possibilities can emerge. This isn't about meditation or reflection. It's about strategic emptiness that forces new patterns to emerge. The final and most powerful principle James discovered was identity fluidity. The monks taught him that trying to create a new fixed identity was just building another prison. True power came from developing the ability to flow between identities to become adaptable at your core. When James finally emerged from the monastery, he didn't return to technology as everyone expected. Instead, he founded a school that teaches disconnection, the art of strategic disappearance. But here's the crucial point. He didn't trade one fixed identity for another. He learned to exist in a state of constant transformation. Today, James maintains what he calls calculated visibility. He's present in the world, but not bound by it. His influence is felt, but never fixed. He's mastered the art of being simultaneously present and ungraspable. This isn't just a story about one man's transformation. It's a blueprint for strategic disappearance. Every principle, the shadow effect, selective silence, pattern disruption, adaptive resistance, strategic emptiness, and identity fluidity, is a tool you can use to engineer your own disappearance and subsequent transformation. Remember, the most powerful transformations aren't announced, they're engineered in silence. Your goal isn't to show the world how you're changing. Your goal is to become so transformed that your old identity becomes impossible to maintain. The mountain monk's greatest lesson was this. True power lies not in being seen, but in choosing when and how to be invisible. In the raw silence of starting over, there's a moment of pure potential that most people never experience. They live their entire lives adding layers, more skills, more achievements, more identities. But true transformation begins only when you dare to subtract everything, to stand naked in the face of your own potential. Zero is not empty. Zero is pregnant with possibility. A master pianist who deliberately forgets everything they know about music. Imagine the freedom in those fingers that once knew exactly where to go, now free to discover new melodies, new patterns, new expressions. This is the power of zero, not as an end, but as a beginning. I've watched people cling to their achievements like drowning men clutching driftwood. Their past successes become anchors, weighing them down in the ocean of possibility. They don't realize that sometimes you have to sink to find solid ground. Your rebuilding process begins with a fundamental question. If you lost everything that defines you today, your career, your reputation, your skills, what would you build first? Not what others expect you to rebuild. Not what seems practical, but what calls to the deepest part of you. This is where internal revolution begins. In that space between who you were and who you're becoming, there's a moment of pure choice. Most people rush through this moment desperate to become someone, anyone, rather than sit with the discomfort of being no one. The discomfort is the crucible. It's the forge where your new identity is born. Every moment of uncertainty, every flutter of doubt, every surge of panic about who you are, these are the contractions bringing your new self into existence. The rebuilding process has its own rhythm, its own timeline. You cannot rush a seed into becoming a tree, but you can create the conditions for explosive growth. Start with your mental architecture. Question every belief, every assumption, every I am statement you've ever made about yourself. What if everything you believe about your capabilities is based on who you were, not who you could be? What if your sense of what's possible is built on outdated evidence? These questions are not philosophical exercises. They're demolition charges placed at the foundation of your old identity. Rebuilding isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming different. Better implies a linear progression. Different implies a quantum leap. You're not trying to build a better version of your old self. You're building someone entirely new. The internal revolution begins in your language. Stop saying, I'm trying to change. Start saying, I am becoming. The first is an effort. The second is an emergence. Notice how different these feel in your body. One strains, the other flows. Your old habits will try to reassert themselves. This is natural. Think of them as echoes of your former self, growing fainter with each passing day. Each time you respond differently to an old trigger, you're not just changing a habit, you're rewiring your very essence. The world will try to rush your rebuild. It will offer you shortcuts back to who you were. It will tempt you with opportunities that fit your old self perfectly. This is the ultimate test, the ability to say no to good options that don't serve your transformation. In this rebuilding phase, uncertainty becomes your compass. If you're certain about something, it's probably part of your old identity trying to reassert itself. True transformation lives in the questions, not the answers. Create new measurements for your life. If you measured success by money, measure it by impact. If you measured progress by speed, measure it by depth. If you measured worth by recognition, measure it by innovation. New metrics create new motivations, and new motivations create new behaviors. The internal revolution isn't a single moment. It's a continuous choice to remain in flux, to resist the temptation to solidify too quickly into a new fixed identity. Think of yourself as water learning to take new forms rather than clay hardening to a new shape. This rebuilding process demands something few are willing to give, the death of certainty. The comfort of knowing who you are must be sacrificed for the thrill of discovering who you might become. We're not fixing what's broken. You're not improving what exists. You're creating something that has never existed before. This is art, not maintenance. This is revolution, not evolution. The 0 point is not your enemy. It's not rock bottom. It's ground zero for the most important creation of your life. The new you. Embrace it, explore it. Let it teach you its secrets. In this emptiness, in this void of who you were, lies the raw material of who you might become. The internal revolution has begun. The rebuilding process is underway. Picture success, stripped of its usual trappings. No corner office, no applause, no external validation. What remains is something far more potent, the power of being completely unrecognizable to those who once thought they knew your limits. True success is not about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about becoming so fundamentally different that your old goals seem like child's play, like a butterfly that no longer measures success by how fast it can crawl. Your transformation demands new metrics of achievement. I witnessed this kind of transformation in an artist who abandoned her successful gallery career just as she was becoming recognized. The art world was mystified. Critics called it career suicide. She understood something profound. Her recognition had become a cage, forcing her to create what others expected rather than what her evolution demanded. 3 years later, she emerged with something entirely new, not paintings, not sculptures, but temporary installations that existed only in specific moments of natural light. Her success wasn't measured in sales or reviews, but in the way she transformed how people experienced time itself. She became unrecognizable, not just in her work, but in her definition of achievement. This is the paradox of unrecognizable success. The moment you break free from traditional metrics of achievement, you access levels of success that traditional thinking can't even comprehend. It's like trying to measure the ocean with a ruler. The tool itself becomes absurd. Your purpose isn't something you find. It's something you become. Every time you shed an old identity, you align more closely with your true purpose. Think of purpose not as a destination, but as a frequency you tune into. The more you transform, the clearer the signal becomes. Every major breakthrough in human history came from someone who became unrecognizable to their peers. Einstein, the patent clerk, becoming Einstein, the revolutionary. The Wright brothers transforming from bicycle mechanics to aviation pioneers. Their success wasn't an extension of who they were. It was a complete reimagining of what was possible. What they don't tell you about this kind of success, it often looks like failure in the middle stages. When you're becoming unrecognizable, you'll go through periods where you don't fit any known category. You'll be too different to be understood by your old world, but not yet established in your new one. This is where most people retreat. They mistake the chrysalis stage for failure. They don't realize that this period of being undefined is actually the birthplace of their most significant achievements. Alignment with purpose comes not from adding more goals, but from removing everything that isn't aligned with your core truth. It's a subtractive process. Success becomes not about what you can achieve, but about what you're willing to abandon. The world is full of people achieving goals that belong to their old selves. They're climbing ladders with impressive speed, never realizing they're leaning against the wrong wall. Unrecognizable success demands that you question not just how you achieve, but what you're achieving and why. Your transformation will create ripples. Some people will be inspired by your courage to transform. Others will feel threatened by it. Both reactions are reflections of their relationship with their own potential, not yours. The highest form of success is becoming a living question mark in the minds of those who thought they had you figured out. When they say, "I don't understand what you're doing anymore," take it as confirmation that you're on the right path. Your new success metrics should make others uncomfortable. If everyone understands your goals, they're probably too small. If everyone approves of your methods, you're probably not transforming deeply enough. This isn't about being different for difference's sake. It's about becoming so aligned with your truth that you naturally become unrecognizable to those operating under old paradigms. Like a quantum particle that can exist in multiple states, your success becomes impossible to pin down by conventional measures. Where caterpillar's DNA already contains the butterfly's blueprint, your highest potential already exists within you. Success isn't about reaching external markers. It's about removing everything that prevents your true nature from expressing itself. Let your achievements be side effects of your transformation, not its purpose. When you focus on becoming unrecognizable to your old limitations, success becomes not a goal, but a natural byproduct of your evolution. This is the ultimate achievement, not to reach a destination, but to become so transformed that your very presence opens new possibilities for others. Your unrecognizable success becomes a permission slip for others to pursue their own transformations. Welcome to a new paradigm achievement, one where success is measured not by how far you've climbed, but by how completely you've reimagined what's possible. Throughout this evening, we've explored the art of becoming unrecognizable. But now, in these final moments, let's confront the most powerful truth. The phoenix doesn't choose whether to burn. It only chooses when change will come, transformation will demand its price. The only choice you have is whether to embrace the fire on your terms or wait until circumstances force you into the flames. Look around you. In every industry, in every field, the comfortable middle ground is vanishing. Those who cling to their old identities are becoming relics, while those who dare to transform are becoming legends. The time for incremental change has passed. The time for careful steps has ended. Your next chapter demands not evolution, but revolution, not growth, but metamorphosis. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you'll have a choice. You can continue the comfortable dance of gradual improvement, or you can step into the fire of total transformation. You can remain recognizable, safe, predictable, or you can become a living revolution. The world doesn't need another success story. It needs impossible stories. It needs people who dare to dissolve their identities and emerge as something entirely new. It needs you, not the you that everyone knows, but the you that's waiting to be born. Remember the desert runner who disappeared from her old life. Remember the mountain monk who abandoned digital fame. Remember the artist who walked away from recognition. They weren't running from something. They were burning towards something greater. Your transformation isn't just about you. Every time someone dares to become unrecognizable, they crack open the ceiling of what others believe possible. Your courage to transform becomes a beacon for others trapped in their own limitations. Total transformation is not a choice between life and death. It's a choice between different kinds of life. A life of slow compromise, or a life of perpetual renewal. A life of meeting expectations, or a life of shattering them. Don't make plans. Don't make resolutions. Don't promise yourself gradual change. Instead, choose your fire. Choose where you'll burn away the identity that no longer serves you. Choose what you'll sacrifice to become unrecognizable. The world will try to keep you recognizable. It will offer you comfort, security, and the warm blanket of familiarity, but you've glimpsed something greater, the possibility of complete transformation. You've seen the power of becoming unrecognizable. The fire's waiting. The transformation is ready. The only question is, are you brave enough to become impossible to recognize? Your cocoon awaits, your desert calls, your mountain beckons. The time for transformation is now. Eyes burn, transform, become unrecognizable. The world is waiting for the impossible you. the prison of procrastination, from the chains of I don't feel like it. Let me tell you another story that will drive told him to take it easy and stop being so intense. But James kept going. He knew something they didn't, that discipline would eventually overtake ritual every morning at 5 a.m. When the voices were screaming at her to go back to sleep, she would say out loud, "I hear you, and I'm doing it anyway." When the voices told her her writing was terrible, she would say, "Maybe it is." changing everything at once. That's a recipe for failure. True discipline is built through what I call the power hour system. Here's how it works. You take the first hour of your day and divide it into 3 20-minute segments. This becomes your foundation for daily discipline. You have something inside you that's stronger than talent, more powerful than circumstance, more enduring than luck. You have the capacity for discipline. Starting tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, you have a choice. You can choose the easy path of talent, hoping your natural abilities will carry you through. Or you can choose the warrior's path of discipline, knowing that every single day you're building something extraordinary. You wake up every morning with a clear mind, focused on your goals, ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way. You are not bogged down by negative self-talk or plagued by doubts. Instead, your thoughts are a powerful ally propelling you towards success in every area of your life. This is not just a dream. It's a reality that's within your grasp. And today, we're going to explore how to make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, disciplining your thoughts. It's a skill that can transform your life, your career, and your relationships. And the best part, it's something you can start developing right now. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how your thoughts seem to have a mind of their own? One minute you are focused on an important task, and the next you are worrying about something that happened last week or fretting about a future that hasn't even arrived yet. It's as if your mind is a wild horse running wherever it pleases, with you desperately hanging on for dear life. But what if I told you that you could tame that wild horse? What if you could harness its power and direct it exactly where you want to go? That's what disciplining your thoughts is all about. It's about taking control of the most powerful tool you possess, your mind, and using it to create the life you have always dreamed of. Know what some of you might be thinking. Sure, that sounds great, but is it really possible? Can I really control my thoughts? The answer is resounding yes, and I'm going to show you how. First, understand why disciplining your thoughts is so crucial. Your thoughts are the seeds of your reality. Everything you see around you, your career, your relationships, your level of success, all of it started as a thought in someone's mind. The chair you are sitting on, the device you're using to watch this, even the clothes you are wearing, they all began as ideas, as thoughts in someone's mind. Your thoughts don't just create the world around you. They create your inner world too. They shape your emotions, your attitudes, and ultimately your actions. Have you ever noticed how a single negative thought can spiral into a bad mood that lasts all day? Or how a positive thought can energize you and make you feel like you can conquer the world? That's the power of your thoughts. They're like a filter through which you experience the world. And when you learn to discipline your thoughts, you are essentially learning to control that filter. You are learning to see the world and yourself in a way that empowers you rather than limits you. So how do we go about disciplining our thoughts? Well, the first step is awareness. You need to become aware of your thought patterns. Most people go through life on autopilot, barely noticing the thousands of thoughts that flit through their minds each day. But to discipline your thoughts, you need to start paying attention. Try this exercise. For the next hour, make a conscious effort to notice your thoughts. Don't judge them, don't try to change them, just observe them. You might be surprised at what you discover. You might notice that you have a tendency to dwell on past mistakes, or that you often imagine worst-case scenarios, or you might realize that you have a habit of comparing yourself unfavorably to others. This awareness is the first step towards change, because once you are aware of your thought patterns, you can start to challenge them. You can start to ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? Is it based on fact, or is it just an assumption I've never questioned? The next step in disciplining your thoughts is to actively choose better thoughts. This doesn't mean engaging in unrealistic positive thinking or denying reality. It means consciously selecting thoughts that serve you better. For example, let's say you're facing a challenging project at work. Your undisciplined mind might automatically think, this is too hard. I can't do this. I'm going to fail. But with disciplined thinking, you can choose to think, this is challenging, but I've overcome challenges before. I have the skills to figure this out. Every obstacle I overcome makes me stronger and more capable. Do you see the difference? Both sets of thoughts acknowledge the challenge, but one set leaves you feeling defeated before you have even started, while the other empowers you to take action. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but what if those negative thoughts are true? What if I really can't do it? Here's the thing. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Your thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe you can't do something, you must not even try, or you will give up at the first obstacle. But if you believe you can, you will keep pushing, keep learning, keep growing until you succeed. This is not just feel-good psychology. is backed by science. Research has shown that our beliefs about our abilities have a profound impact on our performance. In one famous study, researchers told a group of hotel housekeepers that their daily work was excellent exercise that met the Surgeon General's recommendations for an active lifestyle. Another group wasn't given this information. 4 weeks later, the group that had been told their work was good exercise had lost weight and showed improvements in blood pressure, even though they hadn't changed their actual behavior at all. Just changing how they thought about their work changed their physical health. That's the power of disciplined thinking. When you choose thoughts that empower you, you literally change your reality. Disciplining your thoughts is not about never having a negative thought again. That's not realistic or even desirable. Negative thoughts can sometimes serve a purpose. They can warn us of potential dangers or motivate us to make necessary changes. The key is not to eliminate negative thoughts entirely, but to stop letting them control you. These thoughts are like a massive river flowing constantly. You can't stop the river from flowing, but you can build channels and dams to direct where it goes. That's what disciplining your thoughts is all about. Not stopping the flow, but directing it where you want it to go. So how do we build these channels? How do we direct our thoughts in a more positive, productive direction? Here are some practical strategies you can start using today. Mindfulness is the art of being present in the moment, observing your thoughts without judgment. It's like watching clouds pass across the sky. You see them, but you don't get caught up in them. Regular mindfulness practice can help you create a gap between your thoughts and your reactions, giving you the space to choose how you respond. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly. They might feel awkward or even silly at first, but they're a powerful tool for reprogramming your subconscious mind. Choose affirmations that resonate with you and repeat them daily, especially when you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk. When something bad happens, our natural tendency is often to catastrophize, to imagine the worst possible outcome. Instead, practice looking for the opportunity in every difficulty. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? The attitude is like a magic eraser for negative thoughts. It's almost impossible to feel bitter and thankful at the same time. Make it a habit to list 3 things you are grateful for every day. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as a good cup of coffee or a smile from a stranger. Our minds are meaning-making machines. We're constantly interpreting the world around us, often in ways that reinforce our existing beliefs. Start questioning these interpretations. If you find yourself thinking, my boss hates me, ask yourself, what evidence do I have for this? Could there be another explanation for their behavior? Athletes have long known the power of visualization. Before you start your day or begin a challenging task, take a few moments to vividly imagine yourself succeeding. See yourself confidently tackling obstacles, feel the satisfaction of making progress, hear the congratulations of your colleagues or loved ones. When you catch yourself spiraling into negative thoughts, imagine a big red stop sign in your mind. Then, consciously replace the negative thought with a more balanced or positive one. Your environment has a huge impact on your thoughts. Limit your exposure to negative influences, whether that's toxic people, doom scrolling on social media, or depressing news broadcasts. Instead, seek out inspiring books, uplifting music, and positive people. Your mind and body are intimately connected. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and adequate sleep all contribute to clearer, more positive thinking. Having clear, compelling goals gives your mind a positive focus. When you are working towards something you are passionate about, it's much easier to maintain disciplined, productive thoughts. Now, I want to be clear, disciplining your thoughts is not about achieving a state of constant bliss or never experiencing negative emotions. That's not realistic or even desirable. Life is full of ups and downs and our full range of emotions, including the difficult ones, make us human. What disciplining your thoughts does is give you more control over your mental state. It's about being able to choose your response to life's events rather than being at the mercy of every passing thought or emotion. Your mind is like a garden. Thoughts are the seeds. Every thought you nurture, every thought you allow to take root and grow, shapes the garden of your mind. If you don't tend to your mental garden, if you allow any and every thought to grow unchecked, you might end up with a tangled mess of weeds, negativity, self-doubt, limiting beliefs. But when you discipline your thoughts, You become an expert gardener. You carefully choose which seeds to plant. You nurture the thoughts that will grow into beautiful flowers and strong, fruitful trees. You pull out the weeds of negativity before they can take root. And over time, your mental garden becomes a place of beauty, strength, and abundance. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but my thoughts have been running wild for years. How can I possibly tame them now? Well, let me tell you a story. There was once a man who wanted to change the world. He worked tirelessly, but soon realized the world was too big to change all at once, so he decided to focus on changing his country. But his country, too, proved too large and set in its ways. He turned his attention to his community, but even that seemed beyond his reach. Finally, he decided to focus on the one thing he knew he could change, himself. And a funny thing happened. As he changed himself, his family took notice and began to change. His family changed, their neighbors took notice. Soon the changes rippled out to the community, then to the country, and eventually to the world. The moral of this story, change starts with you. It starts in your mind with your thoughts. And the beautiful thing is, it's never too late to start. Your brain has an amazing ability called neuroplasticity. It can form new neural connections throughout your life. This means that no matter how ingrained your thought patterns might be, you can always create new, more empowering ones. It takes consistent effort. Disciplining your thoughts is not something you do once and then you are done. It's a practice, something you need to work at every day. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you get. At first, it might feel difficult. You might catch yourself slipping back into old thought patterns. That's okay. Be patient with yourself. Remember, you are undoing years, maybe even decades of mental habits. It was not happen overnight, but if you stick with it, if you keep practicing, you will start to see changes. You will notice that you are less reactive to stressful situations. You will find yourself bouncing back more quickly from setbacks. You will start to approach challenges with confidence rather than fear. You will discover a sense of inner peace and resilience that you never knew you had. And the effects will not just be internal. As you change your thoughts, you will start to see changes in your external world too. Your relationships might improve as you approach them with a more positive mindset. You might find new opportunities opening up at work as your increased confidence shines through. You might even see improvements in your physical health as you reduce the stress caused by negative thinking. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but what about when really bad things happen? How can I control my thoughts then? It's a valid question. Life is not always sunshine and roses. We all face difficulties, tragedies, and losses. In these moments, the goal is not to force yourself to think happy thoughts or deny your pain. That's not healthy or helpful. Instead, disciplined thinking in tough times is about finding a balance. It's about acknowledging your pain while also looking for ways to grow from it. It's about allowing yourself to grieve while also reminding yourself of your strength and resilience. In fact, it's often in our darkest moments that the power of disciplined thinking becomes most apparent. When everything seems to be falling apart, your thoughts can either be your worst enemy or your strongest ally. They can either drag you deeper into despair or help you find the strength to keep going. I'm reminded of the story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote about how he observed that the prisoners who were most likely to survive were not necessarily the strongest physically, but those who found meaning in their suffering. They disciplined their thoughts to focus on reasons to live, reuniting with loved ones, completing unfinished work, or bearing witness to the horrors they had experienced. Frankl wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." This, my friends, is the ultimate power of disciplined thinking. It gives you the ability to choose your attitude, to choose your response no matter what life throws at you. Now, I want to give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, commit to actively disciplining your thoughts. Start each day by setting a positive intention. Throughout the day, catch yourself when you fall into negative thought patterns and consciously choose more empowering thoughts. End each day by reflecting on what went well and what you are grateful for. It will not be easy. There will be days when your old thought patterns try to reassert themselves. There will be times when it feels like too much effort. But I promise you, if you stick with it, you will see changes. You will start to notice a shift in how you perceive the world and how you perceive yourself. As you change your thoughts, you change your actions. As you change your actions, you change your habits. As you change your habits, you change your character. And as you change your character, you change your destiny. Imagine where you could be 30 days from now if you commit to this practice. Imagine the clarity you could have, the confidence you could feel, the progress you could make towards your goals. Now imagine where you could be a year from now if you make this a lifelong practice. Imagine the person you could become, the life you could create, the impact you could have on the world around you. That's the power of disciplining your thoughts. It's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about taking control of your mind and, by extension, taking control of your life. Remember, your thoughts are the seeds of your reality. Every great achievement, every positive change, every step forward begins with a thought. By disciplining your thoughts, you are essentially planting the seeds for the life you want to live. So start today, start now, become aware of your thoughts, question them, challenge them, choose thoughts that empower you, that push you forward, that help you become the best version of yourself. It will not always be easy. There will be days when it feels like an uphill battle. But I promise you it will be worth it, because when you master your thoughts, you master your life. You have within you an incredible power, the power to shape your reality through your thoughts. It's time to harness that power. It's time to take control. It's time to discipline your thoughts and create the life you have always dreamed of. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the journey to a disciplined mind begins with a single thought. Choose that thought wisely, nurture it, let it grow, and watch as it transforms your world. I want you to realize the immense potential that lies within you. Every moment presents an opportunity to reshape your mental landscape, to forge new neural pathways that lead to success, happiness, and fulfillment. Consider the ripple effect of your thoughts. Each disciplined thought is like a pebble dropped into a still pond. It creates waves that extend far beyond its initial point of impact. Your disciplined thinking doesn't just affect you. It influences everyone around you. When you choose to discipline your thoughts, you become a beacon of positivity in a world that often seems shrouded in negativity. Your optimism becomes contagious. Your resilience inspires others. Your clarity of purpose motivates those who have lost their way. The people in your life, your family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers you encounter. How might your interactions with them change if you approached each encounter with a disciplined mind? How might your kindness born from positive thinking brighten someone's day? How might your unwavering focus, a product of mental discipline, inspire a coworker to push through their own challenges? The impact of your disciplined thinking extends even further. In our interconnected world, your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions have the power to create waves of change that ripple out into society. Imagine a workplace where everyone practiced disciplined thinking. Conflicts would be approached with a solution-oriented mindset. Challenges would be seen as opportunities for growth. Innovation would flourish as people learn to silence their inner critics and embrace creative thinking. Now expand that vision to your community, your country, the world. The problems we face as a global society, climate change, inequality, conflict, these all stem from collective thought patterns. By disciplining your own thoughts, you are contributing to a shift in the collective consciousness. You are playing your part in creating a more positive, more collaborative, more innovative world. But bring it back to you for a moment. You will likely encounter resistance. Your old thought patterns, ingrained over years or decades, was not give up without a fight. You might find yourself slipping back into negative self-talk or unproductive worry. In these moments, remember that struggle is a natural part of growth. Just as a butterfly must struggle to emerge from its chrysalis, you must push against the boundaries of your old thinking to emerge as a stronger, more disciplined thinker. Embrace these challenges. Each time you catch yourself in a negative thought pattern and consciously choose a more empowering thought, you are building mental strength. You are rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways that will make positive thinking easier and more natural over time. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, forming even simple sentences requires intense concentration, but with practice, it becomes more fluid, more natural. Eventually, you find yourself thinking in the new language without even realizing it. The same is true for disciplined thinking. What starts as a conscious effort will, with time and practice, become your default mode of thought. You will start to notice changes not just in your thinking, but in your entire approach to life. You will find yourself becoming more proactive and less reactive. Instead of being buffeted by the winds of circumstance, you will learn to set your own course, to steer your life in the direction of your choosing. You will develop a newfound sense of personal power. As you realize that you have control over your thoughts, you will understand that you also have control over your emotions, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. This sense of agency is incredibly liberating. No longer will you feel like a victim of circumstance, but rather the author of your own life story. This journey of mental discipline will also lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself. As you observe your thoughts more closely, you will gain insights into your fears, your desires, your motivations. This self-awareness is a powerful tool for personal growth. It allows you to align your thoughts and actions more closely with your true values and aspirations. Moreover, as you practice disciplining your thoughts, you will develop greater emotional intelligence. You will become more adept at recognizing and managing your own emotions, as well as understanding and empathizing with the emotions of others. This emotional mastery will serve you well in all areas of life, from your personal relationships to your professional interactions. But perhaps the most profound change you will experience is a shift in your perception of the world around you. As you train your mind to focus on possibilities rather than problems, on solutions rather than obstacles, you will find that the world seems to open up before you. Opportunities that you might have overlooked before will suddenly become apparent. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable will now appear as exciting puzzles to be solved. This shift in perception is not about ignoring reality or pretending that problems don't exist. Rather, it's about approaching life's challenges with a growth mindset. It's about believing in your ability to learn, to adapt, to overcome. When you discipline your thoughts in this way, you tap into a wellspring of creativity and resilience that you might never have known you possessed. Remember that it's not just about achieving your goals, although that will certainly be a welcome outcome. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about living with purpose, with passion, with joy. It's about waking up each day excited about the possibilities that lie ahead, knowing that you have the mental tools to make the most of every opportunity. The power to change your life, to achieve your dreams, to make a positive impact on the world. It all begins in your mind. It all starts with the thoughts you choose to nurture. The journey of mental discipline is not always easy, but it is always worthwhile. Every step you take towards mastering your thoughts is a step towards mastering your life. Every effort you make to cultivate positive, empowering thoughts is an investment in your future happiness and success. Take that first step. Make that choice. Commit to disciplining your thoughts. Embrace the challenge, knowing that on the other side lies a life of greater purpose, greater fulfillment, and greater impact